Presenting TGI Friday's special mouth-watering Christmas appetizer. The Holiday Sampler Platter.
Platter.
Spicy, tangy buffalo wings.
Buffalo.
Fried mozzarella and loaded potato skins.
Oh.
Bring the family and friends.
Who cares about them? Gimme.
Christmas at TGI Fridays. Everyone looks forward to Fridays. Offer not available to cartoon characters.
No!
Hello everyone, this is Awesome Sauce Radio. I am your host, Planet of Wonders, the Comic Pimp. We have an amazing show for tonight, but before we bring in our guests, just want to give two quick shout-outs. The first, of course, is the official pizzeria of Awesome Sauce Radio. That's the Marco's Pizza, 1926 Union Valley Road, Ute, New Jersey, 07421, 973-728-1344. The Marco's Pizza. Greatest pizzeria in all of Northern New Jersey. Tell them by now, sent you. Once again, 1926 Union Valley Road, Ute, New Jersey, 07421, 973-728-1344. Just tell them by now, sent you. Love those guys. Now, for the main event, while we're all here, if you want to get your copy of the Elvira Harley Quinn #1 variant from Comic Pop Collectibles off their eBay store, if you can't make it to New York Comic Con, or live at New York Comic Con at the Comic Pop Collectibles booth, the variant is done by the legendary Bill Morrison. And like I said, once again, you get these off of eBay/Comic Pop Collectibles. And we are going to bring in the owner of Comic Pop Collectibles right now, Mr. Lauren Becker. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Just going on your podcast for the very first time.
Yes. There was someone else I wanted to beat to the punch on doing it.
Good. You're the first.
So now I can tell Dennis I beat him to something.
Yeah.
How did you and Bill come up with the concept for the cover?
Well, Bill did my cover for the Danhausen variant that we had 2 years ago. So I kept him in mind for another one, and the opportunity came about for the Elvira Harley Quinn. So I contacted Bill again, and Bill has been doing some pre-code horror homage painting or drawings with Batman, which looked really interesting. So now I had the idea of having Bill do an homage to Eerie #1, which is the very first pre-code horror book that ever came out from Avon Press. So he agreed to it, and it turned out great.
That is awesome.
Your other guest is here. Just wanted to see.
All right, so let's bring in Mr. Morrison now. Bill, welcome to the show.
Hey. Hi, Adam. Hey, Lauren.
Hey, Bill.
How's it going?
Good.
Good.
Once again, thank you for joining us tonight. So how fun was it to do the Elvira versus Harley Quinn for Comic Pop Collectibles?
I had a great time when Lauren asked me to do it. He knows what a big Batman fan I am. So just Harley Quinn alone, I was already in just on that. I'm also an Elvira fan. I moved out to Hollywood just maybe like 2 years after Elvira's show hit the air. And I started working at an ad agency in Hollywood called BD Fox and Friends, not to be mistaken for the morning show of a similar name. But BD Fox was an ad agency that specialized in movie posters. And Elvira's show was like huge at the time. And somebody that I worked with told me, she used to work here. And I was like, what? And they said, yeah, she was the receptionist, Cassandra Peterson.
Oh, wow.
She was the receptionist at BD Fox Advertising when she got the job. So she was an actress auditioning, but this was her day gig. And she got the Elvira job and left and went on to fame and fortune. So I've been a fan of hers, from the beginning. Um, and yeah, just the fact that I got to do both of them on one cover. How could I say no to that?
Yeah.
And Lauren's idea, like he mentioned, pre-code horror. I can't get enough of it. And I have been doing a couple of Batman homages, and my sort of what if premise was, what if when the horror boom hit, DC decided to turn Batman into a horror title to kind of jump on that bandwagon rather than going with the sci-fi.
Instead of going with the sci-fi alien thing they did in the mid-50s.
Right. So I've done a couple of covers with that kind of idea in mind, and this getting to do an homage to the very first horror comic ever, which I'll be honest, I wasn't aware of until Lauren sort of hipped me to that. I mean, I was aware of the cover, but I didn't realize it was the very first one, and the first kind of bona fide horror comic. So that was really cool to learn that.
That's awesome sauce. So for both of you guys, what is the appeal of making something exclusive for New York Comic Con? Like,
for me, it's the money.
Sweet.
But one of the good things about doing this exclusive was the cost to do it. So a lot of the exclusives at New York Comic Con are going to be between the $20 to $50 range. We're doing it for $15, so that it's affordable. It's relatively affordable to
that
most
may be the cheapest variant all in New York Comic Con.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I think it's going to do very well. To be fair, though, it's limited to 1,000 copies.
Okay.
I'm not bringing all 1,000 copies to New York. We're still trying to figure out how many copies we're going to bring. It's going to be no less than 300, possibly up to 5. It all really kind of depends on really how much space I have to ship it out.
Are both of you gonna both be at New York Comic Con?
Unfortunately, I won't be. I was there last year, and this year I have a competing engagement, so I'm not going to be able to.
Are you going to be at the other convention I almost went to until I had a previous engagement and couldn't go the whole weekend? Are you going to be at Chronicon?
Yes, I'll be at Chronicon with another variant, and that's the Kevin Smith, Jay and Silent Bob meet Archie Chronicon. I think
another one of those, huh?
Yeah, I think they're calling it. It's not a retailer variant; it's an event variant.
Okay.
Which I'd never heard of, but I guess it's now a thing. And if I can coordinate it with Bill, he'll have copies of the Elvira Harley Quinn variant at that same show. It's just a matter of trying to coordinate everything to get it to him in time.
Yeah, and if I don't think we've talked about this, Lauren, but we live near each other. So if you get the copies, soon enough in advance, I'm more than happy to sign a bunch.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that, but thank you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if there was any if there were signature options for for the book.
Yeah, if the timing works and he gets the books, a couple of days before the convention, and I can get over to his place, then yeah, definitely. I feel bad that I'm not going to be there and wish I was going to be there, but I didn't know this variant was going to come up when I agreed to do the other show. So, that's showbiz.
Yep.
Well, to be fair, this variant was delayed by Dynamite because of the distribution. We'll just say issues, but bump with Diamond. Uh, Dynamite has since gone to Lunar distribution and has left Diamond. So it's been taking a while for the book to come out. Plus, there were a few hiccups that Bill and I talked about with said publisher. I think we have them all straightened out now. We'll see what actually happens, but it's scheduled to come out October 1st, and we should have it a little before then. We can't sell it until October 1st. I mean, you can still pre-order it from us. It's $15 plus shipping, and we will ship it out October 1st with the release date.
That is awesome. And you can also, like I said, pick this up at New York Comic Con. Lauren, what's the booth number?
3834. If you go to the New York Comic Con website, you look for Comic Pop Collectibles, or if you look for exclusives, the book should come up, and it should also give you the booth number just in case you can't remember.
Beautiful. So it sounds like you're going to be in the same spot you were pretty much in last year.
Yeah, last year we were near the people who had the Spawn exclusives.
Yeah, we got to watch that fight happen.
Yeah, that was hilarious and scary at the same time. The people wanted my spot, and I said, "You'll have to pry it out of my cold, dead hands before you get my spot."
Yeah.
Pure Becker.
Oh, it got a lot worse.
Sweet. So this is not your first time doing an exclusive together. If JB can bring up the Batman 251 cover. What are some of your guys' memories for this?
We love working together, and I'll keep doing variants for Lauren as long as he asks me to.
And as long as you're able to, I will continue to have you do them. I really wanted to do a pre-code horror homage for the new Batman 1, but they would not contact me back. I don't know what the issue was with that. So hopefully for the next one, we can do something.
That's awesome. Is it true that you guys were going to do a CM Punk follow-up to this cover at one point?
Yeah, I did want to do a Danhausen CM Punk. I wanted Bill to do it. Danhausen and I had a few ideas we were bumping around, and CM Punk wouldn't agree to it until after he got fired from AEW.
So it was around that time period. Okay.
So I'm like, Danhausen called me up. He was actually at CM Punk's house. He's like, "Hey, Punk wants to do the book." I was like, "It's too late now." I go, "DC's not going to agree to it. I'll try, but they're going to be like, no, because AEW and DC are sister companies to Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers, when I asked DC, they're like, we can't do that." So unfortunately, that whole thing kind of fell away. And now that he's with WWE, CM Punk, I won't be able to do anything unless I get WWE's approval, and it can't be a DC book. It's gonna have, if I can do anything, it'd be an independent book, and that's even if Punk actually wanted to do anything.
Bill, what are some of your memories of working on the Danhausen book?
A lot of geeking out because I'm a huge Batman fan, as I mentioned. Lauren knows this because I've either I or my wife have bought many a Batman collectible from Lauren, especially around December or January when Christmas and my birthday roll around. So just it's weird because I worked at DC when I was editor in chief of Mad Magazine. I was always kind of putting it out there that I would love to do a Batman cover to all the editors, because I had meetings with them. I was in meetings on a weekly basis with these guys, got to know them, guys and girls. And I was always putting it out there that I would love to do a Batman cover. Nobody ever took me up on it. I even said I'll do it for free, as part of my salary. You don't have to pay me. You can bank whatever cover fee you pay to freelancers normally. You can bank that and save money on a book. But it didn't make any difference. So I think I was kind of typecast. They sort of thought of me as the Simpsons guy or the humor guy. But Lauren never thought of me that way because he's seen the other stuff that I do. So anyway, it was just, I was thrilled to actually be doing an official Batman cover and to be doing an homage to one of my favorite covers by Neil Adams, Batman 251, was just amazing. I'm still kind of vibrating over it.
Yes.
The whole
I know that Dan had a blast with it.
Well, Danhausen, the whole thing came about about 3.5 years ago at C2E2. Danhausen and CM Punk were supposed to do a skit with Punk buying Danhausen all these comics because he stole Danhausen's move. And the dealer that they were supposed to do it with didn't know who either of these guys were. So they were like, no, we don't want these people behind our counter. So Danhausen was like, well, is there anybody else that would be willing to do it? And the showrunner was like, well, let me talk to Lauren because he's a big wrestling fan and I think he would really love to do it. And Danhausen was like, wait, Lauren Becker from Warp 9? I used to go to his store when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
So they contacted me, showrunner. I was like, yeah, done. We'll have him come by the booth. So Danhausen came by the booth, and then Punk came by like a couple minutes later, and we did the whole skit. And after that, Danhausen and I stayed in touch. Fast forward the next year in February, I was at a toy show in Ohio called Toy Ohio. So shout out to Rich Fullerman there. And Danhausen was one of the guests. And somebody was walking around with a Doomhausen t-shirt. And Danhausen came by my booth later and I was like, hey, do you want to do an exclusive cover? He's like, can we? I was like, I don't see right now. I just, I'll call Marvel and see what we can do. And before I could do, I contacted Marvel, but they were they weren't very pleased with the idea. We'll just leave it at that. And then AEW's lawyers contacted me and like, hey, we heard you want to do an exclusive cover. We just need a little bit of information, blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, this is what the concept is, and this is what we like to do. And like, well, we love it, but can you do it with a DC book instead of Marvel? I go, get me in touch with somebody at DC, and I'll be more than happy to do it. And they contacted me. I talked with Donovan, and we ended up coming up with the idea. And I contacted Bill. I was like, this is it. This is what the concept is. So honestly, it was one of my favorite exclusives that I've ever done, and
That's awesome.
Knowing
how big of a wrestling fan that you are, in fact, I was able to find the clip online. Shall we play it for the audience?
Sure.
All right, JB, can you roll the clip, please?
$4,500. Take it. You'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. All right, and what is that? First appearance Wolverine? Yeah. Oh, okay, come on. You're getting a little bit ridiculous. What is it? 3,500. How many times you done this move? Gotta put that in the box. What is that? Punisher? Yeah. You like the Punisher? I'll take it for you. 9.0. $6,000. I'll take it. What else you got? I got him. Whoa. Wait. Nobody likes it. $3,800. Tell the Dwayne you said that. What else you got? What do you think? Magneto, Magento?
First appearance of Scarlet Witch.
You ever hear of them? All right, what did this cost? $2,400. Yeah? All right.
Does she take credit card?
I do. You guys? Great. That means you can do more, yeah?
What paid for inflation?
Good honors. All right, let's see. What is the most expensive book you've got?
No way. This has got to be enough. This has got to settle all debts.
One more. One more and we're done. Yeah? Yeah. All right. What is
The most expensive book is My Amazing Spider-Man #1.
Oh, this one?
Yep. It's only 25,000.
25,000, that okay?
It's not
Is
even
that
graded.
okay?
No?
It's not even graded.
Well, you'll pay for the grading and then it'll be worth more. And then make it be even. That good? God. All right. Hey, let me see all these books. Did they stack them in Daniel's hands? Were they held nice?
I don't even want to know. Just fine. Just bring it up.
Here, just right now. Hold them so we can display them for the camera.
Don't let them
So that
try
way-
to prove.
Here, you take two. You take this one. Yeah, there we go. And then this to the punk. You can hold two. Here, hold this. I'm going to hold the expensive one. That'll trust you. All right. We're even.
That's awesome.
Scratching my skin. I was on.
That was funny.
That was the most fun I ever had at a show.
So did they actually buy all those books, or was that just part of the skit?
It was part of the skit, but they each actually bought a book. I actually had to also explain to Punk about grading because he wasn't exactly sure what that was all about. But he was very happy with the purchase. He really wanted the 129, the Spider-Man 129, and I think Danhausen ended up taking the FF 49. So it was fun.
That was a good day for you.
Punk is actually a really yeah, it was a very good day for me. And Punk is actually a very, very down to earth, nice guy. We were talking about comic history for a little bit.
That's fun.
That's awesome. And yeah, he's also a very accomplished comical writer in his own right.
Well, I think you should stick to wrestling.
I did enjoy his run on Drax.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, Bill, how excited are you for the upcoming season of Futurama?
I'm a big Futurama fan. I wish I was still working on it. But it's hard to do that for Michigan. Even post-COVID with Zoom and FedEx and all that. And they like you to sort of be in the vicinity. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not working on Futurama. I am doing Simpsons projects still. Not working on the show, but working on merchandise and games and things like that. But I love Futurama. I'm glad it's back. I hope it goes on for many more seasons.
That is amazing. And I'm also surprised if JB, bring up the Bartman picture. So do you think the Simpsons will make it to at least season 40 at this point, guys?
I think Fox really has no reason to keep the show going ever since they put it into syndication. Because once it was in syndication, it was just, they had so many episodes, it was making money just on a minute by minute basis for them. And so for what it costs them to make an episode and keep it going, there's no real reason I can see for them to do that other than they just want to keep it going. It just keeps breaking records. So yeah, who knows? I mean, right now it doesn't have any foreseeable records to break because it's the longest running primetime scripted show. So it can't beat SNL. It can't beat 60 Minutes because SNL is not primetime, obviously. Shows like 60 Minutes are not scripted. And there's shows like, soap operas like Days of Our Lives. It's not going to beat that because that, again, is not primetime. But if some of those shows stop, like if SNL gets canceled and Simpsons keeps going, it could hit another record for just longest running TV show ever, of any kind.
Yeah, because counting the Tracy Ullman shorts,
Well, it is
2027. It does become 40 years old technically.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It is the longest running animated series, though, isn't
Yeah.
it? Okay.
It hit that it hit that landmark. That was like the first landmark that they passed, which was the Flintstones was the record holder.
Right.
So the Flintstones originally was a primetime animated show. So I think the first mile marker was that they became, after they beat the Simpsons or the Flintstones record, which I think was 6 or 7 seasons, they became the longest running primetime show, or primetime animated show, also the longest running animated show. The next one after that was the longest running primetime comedy, which was The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, and that was 16 seasons. So they surpassed that one. The next one to beat was Gunsmoke, which was 20 seasons. So that was the longest running primetime scripted show of any kind. So when they beat Gunsmoke at 20 seasons, they've had that record ever since.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Question for both you and Lauren. What are some of the pros and cons of your convention season? So some of the bigger conventions.
The con per se, it's the setup and the breakdown. New York is probably my toughest to set up at. It's even tougher than Motor City Con. Motor City Con's only a mile away from my warehouse, and I usually have a 6-booth display. New York, I have a 2-booth display, and it's insane the amount of prep work that I have to do for that show, and the amount of time that I have to do setup, and the breakdown is just as grueling. But the pro of the con is the amount of people that come to the booth. Actually, the amount of compliments I get for my display. A lot of dealers, and I'm not disparaging any dealer because they work just as hard as I do. My display is unique compared to all the other dealers because I'm one of the few that actually carries new merchandise.
And for the T booth setup that you have at New York, and New York is my least favorite show to set up at, just because of how union controlled the Javits Center is.
Yeah, it is.
And it's my home show pretty much, and I haven't set up in a good 15 years now.
It's grueling, but it's very, very worth it. I've made a lot of connections. I've actually made a lot of friends outside of from setting up, talking to a lot of the vendors, and talking shop, and then we bounce ideas off of each other every once in a while. But New York is one of my top 5.
Amazon, stop. Sorry about that.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, and of course, I always get a kick out of watching the legendary acquisition of photos on Facebook.
Yeah, I like showing off some stuff here and there.
Yeah.
I'm always curious about the backstory. Whenever you post acquisitions, I always want to get on the phone and ask you, okay, how did that come about? Like, how did that like fall into your lap, or did you pursue it, or like what happened?
You must be talking about the Batman sneakers I'm going to be picking up in Xenia in a couple of
Yes. Specifically that, but also in general, just kind of everything. I look at the stuff you post and I'm just like, oh my God, how can I be Lauren for a day?
I think the one piece of yours that made me like call up and see what I had all my credit cards combined on available credit was the George Reeves Superman album.
Oh yeah, that was something.
Yeah, that was a nice pickup. I know the guy who I got it from. He was helping an older collector get rid of his collection. Unfortunately, he had cancer, and he just wanted to get rid of a lot of the stuff so he can have enough money to live comfortably and to pass on to his heirs. So I was lucky enough to get the Superman emblem and the autograph. I was supposed to get an actual screen worn costume, and unfortunately, the whole thing kind of fell apart. Not the costume, but the deal, because unfortunately, my stepfather had passed away like the week before the deal was going to go down. And I contacted him and I was like, look, I need another week. I have to take care of all the arrangements and everything. And the guy was like, well, he won't wait that long. I was like, well, that's not my problem. He wants to sell it, go ahead, but I'm not buying anything else from him. So, there's some good times getting some of this stuff. And then there's some difficult times. The Batman sneakers, a friend of mine posted on a Facebook page that he was going to be at the Xenia show, the Great Ohio Toy Show in Xenia, and he just picked up sneakers, and I was the first person to contact him, and I was like, "What do you want for him?" And he told me, I was just like, "Do you want the money now? Or do you want me to pay you cash in Xenia?" He's like, "Oh, if you're going to pay me cash, I'll wait till Xenia." I was like, "Done." So I don't know, I might have those for like an hour until Bill comes and he's like, I want those.
Hey, Bill, anything new happening with Roswell, Little Green Man?
Well, I'm still I'm probably a couple of weeks away from getting the book to the printer. The collected hardcover that I did the crowdfunding for. So that'll be coming out, and then based on the success of that, it was a successful crowdfunding venture. So, and I've never crowdfunded a book before, but based on the success of that, it sort of told me that there is still interest and some sort of appetite for Roswell comics. So once that book is out, I will be working on new stories, and I don't know if those will be also crowdfunded in the form of books. I don't really want to do individual comics anymore, but I want to do like graphic novels.
So kind of like the business model for manga, where you just have everything in one volume.
Yeah. So I'll either crowdfund those, or I might use the book as a way of getting publishers interested. So if I can send the publisher a copy of the book and they want to take it on, then I'll, consider that as well.
That's awesome. And this next question is for the both of you. Do you see crowdfunding and Kickstarters as being an integral part of the future of comics, or it's just like the new way that indie publishing is getting done?
I don't know that much about it.
It was always changing.
Yeah, I see people doing it, but I don't know if it's, I think it's too early to tell, in my opinion. But again, I'm not an expert. Like I said, this is my first one, so I don't know a lot about the future of it.
The landscape's always changing. I think now that Diamond is not distributing any new comics really, that Kickstarter be a temporary way for people to get their books out until other companies start carrying books from from the independents. It's going to be kind of tough unless you put it on something like Kickstarter or Zoop.
All right, cool. Because like I said, this week I just came across a J. Scott Campbell Kickstarter for Danger Girl, which I thought was interesting. A couple other little projects here and there I thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of amazing stuff coming out. I'm always kind of surprised when I see, like, I talk to other artists like Dan Parent, and sometimes he'll pitch an idea to Archie for something he wants to do with the Archie characters, and they tell him, we can do that via Kickstarter or some other crowdfunding. I'm not sure if Kickstarter is what they use, but big publishers are using it. So there's a lot of good stuff coming out and a lot of good indie stuff too via that method.
Interesting.
It's how Mark Spears got his Monsters book started. The crowdfunding for that was ridiculous, and now his book is like one of the top independent books in the U.S. right now.
And Mark, congratulations to Mark Spears because he just broke a record.
Yeah, he's got that Wolf and Monster pre-bag comic coming out. I guess he sold almost 500,000 copies.
Wow.
Yeah, the blind bag stuff right now is like the hot thing ever since Battle Beast did it. So
I've heard of that.
We did really well with it, and the Batman one we didn't order as many because it was basically twice the price, and I didn't think it was going to have a lot of legs. I sold out of that.
I only opened up 2 of the Batman blind bags, and it was got the same cover twice. I was like, I'll just get the rest of them sealed.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. I apologize.
That's not a problem. I just left after that getting the same cover twice. I left the other pack of my 20-pack sealed.
Oh. Yeah, there were people who they bought, like I had one person buy a pack of 5, and they said they got 2 of the same book in the same pack, or in the same bundle. But one guy ended up getting like 5 different books. So it's all luck of the draw.
Yes. How heavy did you order on the Mark Spears Monster blind bag?
Because of everything that was coming out, I had to budget. I did order 250 copies. That was enough to get the 1 in 250 variant. And it comes out the week before, I think the week before New York Comic Con, so I'll have copies available there.
Nice. I think the blind bag gimmick is where the industry is at right now.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised it wasn't done prior. I think Neil Adams did it with his continuity press back in the 90s. And because it was just continuity, it didn't do very well. And they didn't really explain it so well. But Skybound did an excellent job with the Battle Beast blind bag.
That did. I did an event with I went to like 250 copies of the Battle Beast blind bag, and everyone was really happy with it.
I did 1,000 copies because I wanted that, because there was the 1 in 1,000 CGC graded one, and it just everything just blew up on that.
Yeah.
So Bill, if you're going to do individual books, might want to think about blind bags now.
I've just now started hearing about that phenomenon and concept. So yeah.
Well, when you come by the warehouse, I'll show you a few of the blind bags.
Okay.
Yeah, so just put a couple gimmicks in a few of them, like a couple rarities, give people a good chance.
Lauren's always educating me on not only the new trends but the old comic history.
I don't know as much as a lot of people think, but when I find something, I grab onto it.
Yeah,
but
I love that.
I've been doing this for, gosh, like over 40 years. So I think I'm going to learn. I think I'm going to know a certain thing here or there.
I see. So I'm now doing this, at least in the retail side of things, for 26, and Lauren, you taught me a lot over the years.
Good.
So.
Lauren, I had dinner with Dave Huxley in Arizona a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
And your name came up. You mentioned you and was talking about how you used to come into his store. I
love Dave's store.
Yeah.
Dave's store was so great. Even after I opened up my store, I always went. Any chance I got, I went over to his. And I remember one time I was I was cutting glass college because I was going to do a card show in Royal Oak, and I was like, I'm going to go to Dave's store before I go to the show. And I go, and Dave was right there. He's like, hey, you like Migos, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you want to see something really cool? I'm like, yeah. Goes behind the counter and shows me a sealed case of Migo figures from the 70s. I was like, where did you get that? He goes, don't worry. So he opened it up right in front of me, and I maxed out my credit card because everything was so case fresh. I think the only thing I have left in my personal collection from that is a boxed Green Arrow that's never really seen the light of day. It went straight into my showcase.
Why did you keep that one?
I'm a big that was my favorite Migo figure when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I had my parents scour every toy shop for that figure, and we were able to finally find one. But that was my favorite one.
That's awesome.
It seems to me that one would be kind of more rare than, say, Batman and Superman and Aquaman, right?
Yeah, they made a lot of Batmans. They made a lot of Supermans. But that is a relatively rare one. And then actually, when Dave shut down his store, he told all of his customers to come to Warp 9.
He told me that. Yeah.
And I was very thankful for that. And I haven't seen Dave in a while, but if you see him again, tell him I said hi. We're Facebook friends, but
yeah,
I haven't seen him in a bit.
For people who don't know who we're talking about, Dave Huxley ran a comic shop in Royal Oak, Michigan, where Lauren and I are both from. And he's kind of famous nationwide for a video that circulates. He was on the news in 1989 when there was all that controversy over the Batman movie and Michael Keaton specifically taking on the role. So there was all that controversy over whether Michael Keaton was a good choice to play Batman or not. And Dave was not on Team Keaton to begin with. So he's on the air being interviewed by a reporter, talking, kind of talking down the idea of Michael Keaton playing Batman, and so you can find that on YouTube if you want to look it up.
Wait, that was him?
That was, yeah. You seen it?
I know the video you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I had to show it to some young whippersnappers who were complaining about Heath Ledger at the time, and also when people started complaining about Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Where I had to be the old man. It's like, back in my day, we got Michael Keaton, and we didn't like him, and he turned out okay.
Yeah. Well, that was Dave.
Yeah. Dave was a very outspoken. Well, he is a very outspoken individual.
Yeah.
But I actually learned a lot from Dave, and his store was just the best.
Yeah, I didn't. I was living out in California, probably the whole time that he had his store. But whenever I came back home for a visit, during the holidays or for a wedding or a funeral or whatever, I would always go out to Royal Oak and buy comics, toys, whatever at Dave's store. He always had something amazing that I had to take home back to California.
Well, I remember when I was starting to do the show circuit full time, and I went to his store, and I was just looking, and he had the homemade Insane Clown Posse comics. This is before Chaos Comics got the license to do them, and they drew it and did it themselves. And Dave had stacks of them. And at the time, this is when Insane Clown Posse started getting really popular. And he actually hooked me up because I was like, Dave, I could really use a lot of these. He goes, well, how many do you want? I go, as many as you want to give, as many as you want to sell me. He's like, take what you want. He didn't care, but Dave was always cool with me. He would tell me some stories. He would, we would talk shop every once in a while. And I really do miss his store because you can't even describe how his store actually was. It was a little bit of new, but a lot of vintage. And he always played the most obscure rock albums ever.
Yeah, he was into pop culture across the board.
Oh, wow.
Music, toys, tiki stuff, vintage cars.
And I don't want to say it like he's gone. He just doesn't have a store anymore.
Yes, he's out.
I'm making it sound like he's gone.
No, I actually, was able to pick out that he was still alive, but the store was no longer.
Yeah, Dave took me out to this great tiki bar in Tucson, Arizona. He came to the show. I was doing Tucson Comic-Con, which is Brian Polito's show. And Dave came by my table and we, kind of caught up. And he said, I'm going to be here tomorrow, which meaning Sunday. And he said, if you want to have dinner after the show, let me know. And he had been talking about this tiki bar. And I said, hey, if you want to take me there, I would love to go. And so we did that. It was great.
That's awesome.
He was actually in Detroit for Marty's show, but I was at C2E2, so I kind of missed that little reunion between him, Mike Lester, and Ben Davis.
Yeah, he came in for a wedding, and he couldn't resist stopping by Marty's show and just kind of like checking in with everyone, and then going on to the wedding, or that's what he told me. But I did get to see him then as well. He's cagey though, he doesn't let you know when he's coming to town. He just kind of blows in.
Yeah, he just shows up whenever he wants.
Yeah. Nice. Excuse me, Bill. What into your most recent Dan DeCarlo book?
What about it?
Yeah, how did that come about?
Well, Fantagraphics contacted me. It's a book that I did with them, I think in 2006. And the reason I did the book originally was I was friends with Dan DeCarlo, and there wasn't a book about his art, which I thought was kind of a tragedy. So I went to New York where he lived. He lived outside New York. And one weekend I interviewed him. I got it on tape. And then he passed away, and I sort of lost my steam on doing the book. And I was talking to Josie, his widow, one day, like a couple of years later, and she said, "Whatever happened to that book that you were doing about Dan's artwork?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. After Dan died, I just sort of lost track of it. I just stopped working on it." And she said, "Oh, that's a shame. I really was looking forward to seeing that book." And that was all I needed. I just needed to know that Josie wanted that book to exist.
Oh, wow.
And so I got back on the horse and I contacted publishers, a couple of different publishers. Fantagraphics really wanted to do it. And so I did it with them. All the proceeds, all the profits went to Josie. And I was just happy to have done the book. People kept asking me after the book came out, like, who are you going to do for your next book? And I was like, I'm not really a comics historian. I did this book because it needed to exist. So, I said if I ever did do another book, I would do one on Bob Oxner, because there's no book on Bob Oxner, and there should be.
Explain to my audience who that is, please.
Bob Oxner was an amazing comic artist and cartoonist who could do anything. If you ever read Jerry Lewis comics or Bob Hope back in the 60s, even before that, like in the 50s, he did stuff for DC, all their humor stuff. But he had also done newspaper strips. He did a strip called Miss Cairo Jones, which was drawn very realistically. And so he has this long history with DC, also with Marvel, but I think from like the late 40s on, he was a mainstay at DC, and he could do anything. He did like Black Orchid, he did Supergirl. He was really good at drawing pretty girls. So DC would put him on the books that had, sexy female characters, because he could just do it so well. But he was great at, he could draw Superman. He could draw anything. Superman, Batman. If you've ever seen that Adventure Comics cover that has the Justice League, like at a big conference table, they're all sitting around it.
Oh, okay.
And Supergirl is busting through the wall. Do you know that one?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
that's Bob Oxner. But he's done it. He did it all. He could do anything. I have a lot of original art by him. I don't have a lot of the superhero stuff because that tends to go for a lot more money. But same artist, and people are like, kind of low, like pricing the humor stuff really low. Which
I did notice that.
Yeah, humor stuff doesn't get the same respect as superhero stuff. But I've got a ton of Jerry Lewis pages by him. He did Welcome Back, Kotter. He did Angel and the Ape. And then he did romance comics, like back in the late 50s, early 60s for DC. So I've got a couple of romance pages by him that are amazing.
actually, there's been a resurgence for romance comics and artwork lately.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost the last of the genres that hasn't, that's been kind of looked away.
Yeah.
romance and westerns.
Right.
So I actually went through my box in my warehouse, and I found a box of romance comics that I bought almost 20 years ago. And I got everything was like in really nice, pristine shape. I got them graded. I think the lowest one came back was a 9. I took them to a show that I knew a dealer who was interested in that stuff, and he was like, "Oh my God, I want all of these."
Wow.
So the romance stuff is starting to come up, especially with a lot of the Matt Baker covers and stories. Everybody's really wanting those.
Yeah, Matt Baker covers are through the roof. I collect John Romita romance covers.
Oh.
I don't have any original art, but I collect the books because before Stan Lee stole him from DC, he was one of their main romance comic artists. So after he left Atlas, where like in the 50s, he was doing Captain America, he started working for DC doing romance stuff. And he kind of famously, because he said this in articles, he wanted to draw the superheroes for DC, but he didn't have the courage to talk to the editors because I guess they were kind of dicks. like they were not very approachable, so he was a little intimidated by a lot of the editors. But he wanted to do Batman or Superman, but he didn't get the guts to have that conversation with any of them. And Stan Lee called him one day and asked him out to lunch and said, "I'd like to put you on Daredevil." And so he made that decision to leave DC and start working for Marvel again. And of course, Daredevil led to Spider-Man, and the rest is history.
Just as an aside, I was at MegaCon a few years ago when Heroes Initiative was doing those blank books for charity, and one of the books it was a blank I think it was a blank Superman book that they did that's specifically for their 100 covers thing, and one of the books had a artwork by John Romita with Batman and Superman and a few other characters, and that thing blew up. I think it ended up closing at about, and don't quote me because it's been years. I want to say it closed for about $6,000.
I don't know why it wouldn't, anything by Romita. And Romita was one of those guys that, like, back in the 70s, when like Neil Adams style was big and everybody was imitating Neil Adams, and John Romita was doing like a ton of stuff for Marvel. He was the art director, but he was also doing all their merchandise art. And people looked down on that. They looked at it like it wasn't as good as the stuff that the more realistic artists like Neil and Jim Aparo and people like that were doing. And same with Kirby. You used to be able to get Kirby art super cheap, especially you were talking about westerns and romance. Like even when Kirby's art started selling for closer to what it was really worth, you could still buy his western stuff and like his In the Days of the Mob and his romance stuff for super cheap because people didn't value it. They valued the superhero stuff because of the characters, but they didn't value the non-superhero stuff that was just as good, but didn't have those characters, but it was still Kirby. And now you can't even get that stuff. It's just through the roof.
I had a friend of mine at a show recently. He picked up a couple of Kirby pages from, it was like one of the, I want to say Classic Illustrators that he did. That I was just like, who had this? This is insane. I didn't even know he did anything like this. And it was relatively inexpensive compared to his
Amazon stuff.
Yeah.
Even to his like Double Dinosaur and Commandy stuff. which doesn't go as for much as like say his early Marvel stuff.
Right.
So
I mean, occasionally I do pump into a couple Commandy color guys on eBay that don't seem unreasonably priced.
got to be careful with some of that stuff. Are you talking about the acetates or the actual?
No. Actually, I'll send it to you after the show. But this looks like a legit color guide.
Okay.
Who was the colorist?
Don't remember off the top of my head. But no, I stay away from those acetate things now. I learned my lesson the hard way.
Hmm.
But I was only out $18, so I wasn't that upset. And it looks cool on the wall at conventions.
Yeah, I actually bought a whole bunch of color separations from a Marvel editor who was set up at a local show in Michigan. He had just moved back to Michigan, and don't ask me who the editor was because I honestly do not remember. But he had a whole half box filled with covers for color separations. So I kept some of them, and I know they're legit. But I kind of wish I still had those. Those are really cool.
I bought a collection when I was working on the Dan DiCarlo book of color separations from the late 40s, early 50s of DiCarlo Atlas, or Timely, would have been Timely at the time, covers. So things like Millie the Model and Hetty Divine and stuff like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I still got those.
You don't see that stuff ever.
Yeah. It was thrown away, I mean, somebody rescued it out of a flat file, probably at one of the publishers, but most of that stuff just got tossed.
And sometimes, if you like with DC, if you wrote a letter to DC back in the '60s, if it got published, they'd send you a piece of artwork.
Yeah,
because they just didn't care.
Yeah, nobody cared.
I remember back in the mid '80s, early '90s, if you went for the tour of the Marvel offices, on the way out of your tour, they would hand you a free piece of original art.
That would have been so nice. I never went there when I was a kid. Of course, I probably wouldn't have appreciated it back then. I would have been
like I said, New York being my backyard, it was a birthday gift one year.
I've got a complete book minus the cover of Dan DiCarlo's from 1958 of Millie the Model.
Ooh,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was, but it's the only, I've never seen another DiCarlo Millie the Model story or anything. And I can only assume it's either in private collections owned by people who don't, show it off, or it was just all tossed away. But this one story, it was like one of his last stories before he went to Archie full time. So it's like Millie the Model number 89. And I don't know where the cover is, but I got the whole book otherwise, pinups and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Lauren. There's one story I've been wanting to hear the actual story for a couple of years now. Can you explain the infamous popcorn machine story?
Are you sure? Because it really doesn't have anything to do with comics.
It's up to, I'll leave it up to the guest of honor, Bill.
Yeah, I would love to hear it.
Okay. So I get home from work. Yeah, hopefully my wife's not down here, so I can tell it. So I get home from work, and my wife is in her office, and she's like, "Hey, is your van empty?" I was like, "No, it's not empty right now. I still have to unload it. Why?" "Well, there's something I need for you to pick up, but the van needs to be empty." I'm like, "Well, what is it?" "Well, it's something we can use for Hannah's first birthday party." "Well, what is it?" well, it's something that we can. I'm like, could you please just let me know? It was and she showed me a picture online. It was on Craigslist. It was a popcorn machine on a wagon. I'm like, why do we need this? Like, well, because, Hannah's birthday party's coming up. I go, so? Well, some people might not want cake and ice cream. They might want popcorn. I go, this isn't Burger King. We're not doing that. No, we're not getting this. We just bought the house. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be house poor. So we discussed it, and we agreed that we were going to rent a popcorn machine. So about 3 weeks later or so, there's a knock on the door from FedEx, and they drop off a package. And I don't think anything of it because my wife did a lot of QVC shopping. Whatever. Left. I had to go out of town. I come back. The box is still in the family room. So I go to my wife and I'm like, hey, what's in that box? It's been there for almost a week. Well, remember when you said we could rent a popcorn machine? I go, yeah. She's like, well, I looked into it, to rent a popcorn machine twice, you might as well just buy one. I go, why would we need to rent one twice? She goes, well, your 40th birthday's coming up. And I'm like, I don't want popcorn for my birthday. And I'm just like, it's like a light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, wait a minute, is that what's in the box? She goes, yeah. I go, you promised me you weren't going to buy a popcorn machine. Or, no, I promised you I wouldn't buy the one on Craigslist. So I was so angry. We didn't talk for almost a week. She broke the ice by sending me a link from Sears for a riding lawnmower. And I'm just like, why'd you send me this? Well, because I figured we could save money. I go, neither one of us have time to mow the lawn. We have a service for that. She goes, yeah, but think of all the exercise you'll get. I'm like, it's a riding lawnmower. What kind of exercise am I going to get? So the next day, I get home, and she has all my favorite foods on the kitchen table for me. Her baked chicken, pierogies. She even baked me a chocolate cake. And I'm just like, oh my God, what's going on? She goes, well, I got something to admit to you, and it's very hard for me to admit. I go, okay. And this is like in the beginning of our marriage. So I'm just like, oh my, and things are going through my head. I'm like, is she dying? Does she have an affair? What's going on? She goes, okay, sit down. This is very hard for me to admit. I'm a shopaholic. I go, seriously, that's your big reveal? That's ridiculous. So we discussed it again, and she was like, well, I'll make you a deal. If you put it up on eBay, because she paid $150 for it. You put it up on eBay, and if you sell it, we'll take the money. But if you don't sell it within like a week, we get to keep the machine. I go, okay, deal. We shook on it. And she's like, I can't believe you did that. I was like, neither can I. I can't believe that you did either, because I'm going to start that son of a bitch at 99 cents. I paid $150. I'm like, well, then I hope we get close to it. So later that day, or maybe it was the next day, she posts on Facebook, anybody who wants to buy a popcorn machine and save a marriage.
And that's where I saw it.
Please let me know. And her father's friend owned a furniture store, and he's like, hey, I'll take it because I use it for my store. So Nancy calls me up. She's like, hey, can you deliver it to his store? I'm like, I'll leave the store right now and go pick it up and send it to him. And I literally was leaving the store. I'm like, I can't wait to get rid of this son of a bitch. And I get there, and he's actually there. He's about ready to get the machine. He's about ready to pay my wife. And I just grabbed him. I'm like, nope, that money goes to me. And I pick up this boxed 60-pound popcorn machine by myself. And I just put it in. Hey, do you need any help with that? Nope, do it myself. Ah! And after he left, I had the Hulk Hogan theme song synced up to my phone, and I played it as soon as he left. And I was just like, Where's the machine? Is it in the house? No, it's gone. And then I was considered the asshole because I had to do that. But
I thought you were gonna say you got a hernia.
oh no, I had nothing. Nothing happened. So that popcorn machine actually defined our marriage. So I'm sorry for the audience. It has nothing to do with comics, but
I guess it's just indulging. You know, that
I
I
get
finally got to hear the story complete in its entirety after at least 10 years now.
So Adam, you actually saw that ad?
Yeah, I guess Lauren and I are friends on Facebook, so
Okay.
Lauren, actually, for the last 2 years, with the 3 surgeries I've had and everything, and all the health problems that I've been going through the last couple of years,
Yeah.
Lauren's Facebook posts always put a smile on my face and make me laugh.
well.
Same here.
Regardless of what they are.
It's gonna start. Buckle up because it's gonna get even worse, especially with a mutual friend of ours.
No, Fred. Yeah. Shout out to Dennis LaBarger. You punk.
If you wish.
No, like I said, and he's more of an acquaintance, but that's.
I saw Dennis down in Monroe, and we actually had a nice dinner.
Really?
Yeah, we talked. It was a group dinner, and we talked about lots of things, but no politics. It was all just a lot of fun comic talk, and it was very nice.
Well, that's good. Yeah, he was a little, we'll just say angry at my post.
Wow.
Yeah. I was, like I said, at that point, I was thinking of bringing the topic up, but why don't we just keep it happy for tonight?
Fine by me. I have actually nothing against Dennis. I just, and this is with anybody, if you act the fool with me, you better be ready to face the repercussions because after I hit 50, I just don't have the tolerance anymore, and I will call somebody out.
That he will.
Well, I'll definitely do it.
Especially, because I know a few people who say that you should take the Facebook group that you started, Hilarious eBay Stories, and start doing a convention panel with that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So you read all those?
Yeah, because my protege who owns Calamity Collectibles is a member of the group.
Okay.
And he like forced me to join it, so I see everything there.
There are some way out people on there. The best one was a month or so ago when the guy didn't receive his book, his Ozzy Osbourne book. It got, for some reason, he lives in Colorado, and it got sent to Colorado, and then for some reason the post office then shipped it off to Anchorage, Alaska. So he had this big fit about it. I was like, well, I can't really do anything about it right now because that's a post office error. It's going to be, you're going to get it, but it's just, and he just went off on a rant and then sent me pictures of him cutting his arm.
I was going to just ask, was this the cutter?
Yes.
What?
Oh, you didn't see it? I'll have to send you the email that he sent me. And I'm just like, after that, I was like, well, after he sent me the pictures, I texted him back, or I emailed him back. I'm like, you might want to put a little bit of Bactine on that.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, there are some way out people just, and it's hilarious. And people think I make this stuff up. I go, you cannot make this stuff up. I got better things to do with my time.
Like I said, I read some of that stuff and I'm like, Okay, maybe I don't need to go back at eBay yet. So I can still wait until I have the perfect site assistant to help me with this. I'm less headaches, less aggravation.
You know what? Whether it's eBay or shows or or store, there's always going to be some kind of aggravation. And to be honest, for every one person like the cutter, there are 100 more people who are actually nice and considerate. Just they're always repeat customers, and they're very happy to get what I can offer them. But there's always going to be one jackass out of the system that just is intolerable, and then I just make fun of them and post it on hilarious eBay.
Yeah, which is an extremely entertaining read, and it's like getting to keep up with all my friends in the industry all in one place at some point. And I'm like, I'm glad I'm not on eBay right now. Thank you, bye. I'll just continue doing shows.
You're missing out personally. I mean, eBay accounts for a big chunk of my business right now. When I had the store and I was thinking about stopping one of the things, eBay was still like really close behind from the shows. And once I got rid of the store and started concentrating on eBay, I've never looked back. I mean, there are some days where it's good, and there are some days where I'm just like, oh, I should have went for that psychology degree. But
Yeah,
it's
once I have a reliable, trustworthy human seeing eye dog again, I'm going to go back on full time with it. Just need to have one more surgery done, and after I'm recovered from that, I'll be good to go full time again.
okay.
Tell me about the surgery. What's the
I'm having
goal?
I'm actually having I have a degenerative eye condition, and there's a dangerous level of eye pressure in the right eye, keeping the little bit of vision I have left due to a combination of glaucoma and cataracts.
Mm-hmm.
So
what's the surgery hopefully gonna do?
It's going to relieve the eye pressure, and it's going to bring more brightness and clarity to the right eye.
Oh, cool. That's
That'll be
great.
nice.
It won't improve the vision. It's not going to give me any more vision or improvement, but I won't lose the little bit I have left.
Okay.
Good.
Right. Well, I hope that goes great.
And then after that, my question for both of you, since you guys are in the state the seeing eye dog school I'm going to is going to be in, any tips for surviving a Michigan winter?
Well, lately, I'll go first. Since I've been back, my wife and I came back in November of 2019. The first week we got here, it was a beautiful fall week. It was just what I was craving, because in California there aren't really seasons, or not, not like we have here in Michigan. So I was really looking forward to a nice fall, sweater weather, and et cetera, et cetera. But that lasted a couple of days, and then we got hit with one of the biggest snowstorms I think Michigan has seen in 20 years. So I found myself shoveling snow, whereas a week prior, I had been enduring 90-degree temperatures. And I just remember I'm shoveling snow, and I just thought, how did I get here? Like, how did this happen that a week ago I was in 90-degree heat and now I'm freezing shoveling snow? However, that being said, after that, until last year, the last 4 years of winters have been kind of mild. Last year was a little bit more brutal, kind of like the Michigan winters I remembered as a kid. But I don't know. You might get lucky. We might have another mild one.
Yeah, my advice is to bring a heavy snow jacket, a light jacket, a pair of long pants, and a pair of shorts, depending on the month that you're coming in. What month are you coming in?
I think it's gonna be January.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Bring a lightweight jacket, snow jacket, long pants, and shorts, because you just don't know.
You don't know.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it could be nice and mild, or it could be brutal.
All right, cool. Like I said, I'm just waiting for a leader dog to get back to me on a few things. So, JB, can you pull up the Blake Blossom picture, please? There's a picture I need to show Lauren because I need to thank him for his part in one of my favorite convention memories of all time. This was not done at a comic book convention. This was done at a convention that will stay nameless.
Was it the Pretty Ladies Convention?
Yes.
What convention is this?
I just come out and say this is Exotica.
Oh, okay.
And this is a friend of mine who actually played Spider-Gwen and cosplays as Spider-Gwen at various events.
Was this a Detroit convention?
What?
I wish this was a Detroit convention.
Is this LA?
No, this is actually in Edison, New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
This is the first time she ever signed a comic book or a Spider-Gwen comic. So meeting her was my mission for that weekend, and she was super excited to sign it. And I actually wound up getting it double signed by Jenny Frizen at a show after that. So I just want to say, Lauren, thank you.
You're welcome. Was Jenny like, who signed this?
Yeah, I had to explain to her, and she giggled.
Did she? She didn't like. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she saw right after that book, I got her Fabulous 4 variant signed, and she was like, "Yeah, okay."
Is Spider-Gwen the only character that woman cosplays?
She also did let's see. Give me a minute.
Yes,
she also did Daryl Camber's Captain Marvel.
Oh.
And
give a lot of details.
And a couple of video game characters.
Give a lot of detail and talk slow.
What's that?
Tell us a lot of details and talk slow.
Just basically she was in a couple she's just awesome. And
well, I'll have to do some research.
Yeah, she was in a Spider-Gwen fan film, I guess would be the best way to say it. Where a lot of Rule 34 was involved.
Lauren and I are old enough to remember when women didn't come to comic conventions.
It's true.
It was basically they were all sausage parties, and there wasn't a lot of good hygiene.
No,
but
there
once
still isn't some good hygiene sometimes.
Yeah, but once cosplay became a thing, and women started realizing, this could be a fun thing for me to dress up like a favorite character. Then guys started going like, oh, there's women here now. We gotta maybe take a bath once in a while, use some soap. So conventions got a lot more pleasant because of women and cosplay. So I'm like, thumbs up.
The only time
back at CTV too, I know you had a cosplay experience.
I had a cosplay experience. You'd have to be
basically you had a Harley Quinn cosplayer who left one of her autographed photos at your booth.
Oh yeah, that was at Fan Expo Chicago. She was a little, let's just say, a little tipsy, and her and her sister were buying a whole bunch of stuff, and she sat her her autographed photo of Orlando Bloom down, and she left without it. So I was like, oh, I better go try to find her. And I didn't know which way she went. So I was like, well, hopefully she'll come back. And she did. And she's like, please tell me I left my phone. I'm like, this one? Oh, thank you so much. She hugged me for like she hugged me for like 5 Mississippis. And then rewarded me and my friend who was with me with free passes to the finest exotic locale in Chicago, which I was flattered, but I really didn't feel like going anywhere. I actually handed them to another dealer friend of mine. He's like, "Oh, we were looking for something to do." I was like, "Well, here it is." So,
Here you go.
yeah.
I have a good cosplay story. This also took place in Chicago, and it was Wizard World. And this is back when Wizard World was only in Chicago.
When Wizard World was running it or Fan Expo, but you just answered that. So
This is before Fan Expo. So this is when I think this was the only show they did at the time. So this was like their original show.
Chicago.
And I don't think they had spread across the country.
So it was Chicago.
It was Chicago.
Okay.
So I had this idea as editor of Bongo Comics, and I pitched it to the people at Comic-Con San Diego. The idea was I want to do like a panel, but it's going to be a comic book guy look-alike contest. And we'll run it kind of like a beauty pageant. It'll have there'll be the look-alike aspect. There'll be a trivia competition, and there will be a vocal impersonation. So, do the comic book guy voice, answer a bunch of questions about comic book history, and also, the person who looks the most like comic book guy. So San Diego said no, because at the time they were doing a retailer convention on Wednesday night before the regular convention started on Thursday. And they felt like this would be an insult to retailers, because comic book guy to them was like a negative stereotype of comic dealers.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay. And I was talking about this at a party, and there was somebody there from Wizard World. And I talked about my idea and how San Diego had turned me down. And this person said, we'll do it. If you want to come to Wizard World in Chicago, we'll do that. That sounds like fun. So they flew me in. They put me up in a hotel. They flew in an assistant for me from Bongo. And I got Paul Dini and Mark Wade, who were both attending the convention, to be the celebrity judges. So they were judging not only the trivia competition, which they knew very well, but also the vocal impersonation and the lookalike aspect. And we had great prizes. We had an animation cell signed by Matt Groening.
Ooh.
We had all these, like the Playmates action figure sets, the big World of Springfield sets, all signed by Matt Groening with remarks. So we had prizes for, second, third, and first place. The first place winner got the cell, and I think, a bunch of other stuff. So they gave us a room and they advertised it, and we had people show up. We didn't know if anyone would show up, but several people did. And so we ran the competition. My fatal flaw was that I weighted all of the 3 levels of the competition. I weighted them all equally. So everybody scored equal points for vocal impersonation, lookalike, and trivia knowledge. So when all was said and done and we tallied up the points, the person who won aced the trivia competition, aced the vocal impersonation. They did a spot-on comic book guy. Not only the vocal impersonation, but they knew the quotes. Like they knew quotes from the show and got, tons of laughs from the audience. However, this person was dressed as Bender from Futurama. So the winner of the comic book guy lookalike contest was a guy cosplaying as Bender.
Amazon style. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I've never done it since, but if I do it again, I'm going to give more points to the lookalike, and the other two will be subcategories.
That's awesome. Excuse me, Bill, are you accepting commissions at this time?
Good question. Probably not until mid-October because I'm going out of town. I'm going to the UK for a comics festival next week. And then my wife and I are taking a vacation on the back end of that. So I won't be really able to do anything until mid-October.
Okay, cool.
What is this magical word that you said, vacation? What is that?
Yeah, what is that?
Well, here's what happens. Like when you're a comic book artist, sometimes you get flown in, and sometimes they pay for your wife as well. So this convention, it's not really a convention, it's a festival. So I'm not going to be like set up at a table selling stuff like I normally would at a convention. I'll be doing programming and other things. So, the National Cartoonist Society Foundation, which co-sponsors this festival, they're flying me in as their representative because I'm the vice president of the foundation.
Oh,
So they're flying me in along with my wife, and we thought, as long as somebody's paying for us to fly, and we're going to be in England, let's go up to Scotland because we've never been to Scotland before.
oh, nice.
So we're going to take like 5 days. I'm actually doing the festival, and then a couple of days later, like midweek, the week after the festival. This is great. I'm speaking at a conference that's about creative aging. So it's people who are in the arts who are over 60, and it's talking about how you kind of stay creative in that period of your life. So they asked me, have you ever talked about creative aging? And I said, no, I've creatively aged, but I've not ever talked about creative aging. So they're going to have me kind of interviewed, about my career, but also about, being an artist in my 60s and how do you navigate that. So I'm going to do that. And then after that, my wife and I will head up to Scotland.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And, of course, the audience can find Bill in person at ChronicCon for Real, which is happening in Chicago. Is it the 10th through the 12th or the 9th through the 12th?
Oh, you're playing Stump the Artist now.
No, I just think I'm either under or overing it by a day for some reason.
Yeah, I think it starts on the 10th.
It's the same weekend as New York Comic Con, so
yeah.
Yep.
So I think it starts on the 10th, so 10th, 11th, and 12th. I'm also doing Grand Rapids in November, as well as Rhode Island.
I will see you in Rhode Island, my friend.
Yeah, I think Rhode Island's in October, if I'm not mistaken.
It's November.
Oh, it's November as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, November's going to be busy because I'm doing Grand Rapids, Rhode Island, and Fan Expo San Francisco.
Are you going to be doing GalaxyCon Columbus?
No, they didn't invite me this year. I did it last year, and that was a lot of fun. I'd love to go back, but I didn't get an invite for this year.
I'll see if I can talk to Peter, see if I can get you back.
Okay, yeah, I would love to do it. It's a fun show, and they really do a good job of taking care of the comic artists.
Yeah, you and I are going to miss each other at shows because while you're in Grand Rapids, that's the same weekend as Motor City Con.
Right.
So what is Motor City Con this year?
Same time as Grand Rapids, so that's November. What is that? 7th through the 10th or something like that.
Let me
so
check.
it's like the week before Rhode Island, then. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, November is going to be kind of back to back for me.
Yeah, because I know my only convention I'm set up at is Big Apple on November 22nd, and I'm just doing podcasting at Rhode Island. So
Okay.
Well, I've got shows back to back starting last week. I have shows back to back up until Motor City Con. This weekend I'm going to Toy Palooza in Monroeville.
Oh, I'd love
The
to
first
go
time
there.
the first time I've been back to Monroeville in almost 3 years, and I told the promoter, I'm like, I love the name of your show, but I'm not going to call it that on my Facebook page. I'm going to call it What About BobCon.
what about
Basically,
BobCon?
So the show I got kicked out of was Steel City Con because
Shitty Con?
Steel Shitty Con, yes.
Yeah, like I said, this is an uncensored podcast. You can say whatever you want about Shitty Con, because the show sucks.
It does. They asked me my opinion on some stuff. You know, how can we make the show better? I told them, I go, look, I've been doing shows for years and years and years. So I think I know what I'm talking about. They chose to ignore me and go a different route. And me being the person that I am, I kind of spoke my mind on Facebook because Facebook is almost like my therapy. So I said things like, if this show was any livelier, I'd be in a coma. Or I think the one that put me over the top was I want to strangle the PA announcer with his own fucking microphone cord.
Yeah, that one I do remember very fondly.
Well, so I had to pay for the next show in advance, so I wrote them a check and gave it to them. They cashed the check on Monday. Tuesday, they called me up yelling at me. How could you say this about the show? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to say anything on my Facebook, my own personal page. Well, you know, if you don't like the show, then maybe we should part as friends. I go, well, we're not friends. So I'm like, you know what? I see you cash my check. So why don't you send me back? Why don't you airmail me out a replacement? Otherwise, I'll have my attorney get a hold of you, and I've done a lot more for a lot less. So then they tried to disparage me on my own Facebook page, and everybody came to my defense. Even Dennis Barger. And I'm just like, you know you done fucked up if Dennis Barger's on my side. So this new company is actually starting they've had a toy show for a while, D&E Collectibles, and they actually used to set up at Steel Shitty, but they don't anymore because, again, it wasn't a very profitable show for them. So somehow, and I don't know how they did this, they're having the show at the same convention center that Steel Shitty's at, except it's just a one-day show instead of a 3-day show. So I'm doing this show out of spite. I don't care if I make dime one, which I know I will. It's actually kind of amusing and humbling. I've actually had customers that used to see me at Steel Shitty. They're like, are you really going to be at Toy Palooza? I was like, yes, I will be there. Oh, please tell me you're going to bring this. Please tell me you're going to bring that. I'm like, I will have my van filled with stuff. I will treat this as a big show.
Why is it called What About BobCon? And why do you call it?
Yeah,
I call it that because the two owners, the one's named Denise and the other one is Bob. And the first time I met Bob, it wasn't a pleasant experience. The show was transitioning from the old owner to the new owner, and he took over while Dominic, who was the second owner, he took over, and Dominic was going to be the manager. Well, Bob had it in his bright idea that he was going to keep the doors open in December, because apparently he didn't think the crowd knew how to open up a door into the convention center, which played havoc with the heating system. I ended up finding out I had strep throat at that show because of his actions.
Hmm.
But on Sunday, you know, the heat wasn't working, so I went to look for Dominic, and Bob was there. He's like, "Hey, you're not supposed to be back here." I'm like, "Well, I'm looking for Dominic." "Well, I'm Bob. I'm the new owner." I was like, "Bob, you have to get this heat fixed." Yeah, whatever. And I'm just like, "Yeah, we haven't met. My name's Lauren from Comic Pop Collectibles. Here's what's going to happen. The heat's going to be fixed within the next 15 minutes. And if it's not, even though it's against your policy, I am going to pack up and leave early. And if you try to ban me from this show, I will sue you and the convention center for unsafe working environment." At that point, the maintenance guy came up to me and goes, "No, we're working on it. I promise it will be fixed within the next 5 minutes. We just have to keep the door shut." And then he came up to me later. He's like, "Yeah, Bob decided he wanted to keep the door open, which screwed up the regulator of the furnace. That's why it was colder inside than it was outside." And then he decided to have a meeting right after the show with all the vendors, wanting to get everybody's opinion. And to be fair, everybody's opinion was just utter nonsense. I brought up a good point about show hours, and then somebody's like, "Yeah, and I didn't have a trash can at my booth. Where was I supposed to put my trash?" And another vendor's like, "Yeah, and you really need to have valet parking for the vendors so they can go out and get something to eat and bring it back without losing a parking spot." And I was just like, "Yeah, I'm out. I gotta leave." But yeah, I don't get along with them. So, oh well. And so I got Toy Palooza. The week after that is the Hall of Fame Comic Con in Canton, Ohio. The week after that is the Great Ohio Toy Show in Xenia, Ohio, which I tell Bill he really needs to go to when he gets the chance.
I do.
It's 7 buildings filled with toys and collectibles.
What weekend is that
maybe
again?
next year. That's on my bucket list for 26.
It's the week before New York / Chronicon. So it's Saturday the 8th. I think I sent you a email or a message about it, but I'll send it again later.
Yeah.
But it's huge. It's a great show.
I'm putting it on my calendar right now.
It's Saturday the 7th or 8th. I don't quite remember the actual date.
Let's see, if it's the weekend before New York Chronicon, it'll be the 4th and the 5th.
I think that's right.
Yeah, just because I know it's the weekend I have blocked off for my goddaughter's birthday. So
because I have to leave Tuesday for New York, because then I have New York.
Shoot. So it's October 4th through 5th?
It's just the 4th. It's just a Saturday show.
All right.
I'll still be in England.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, the thing is, they'll be back in March, but I won't be able to attend because it's the same weekend as C2E2. So I got to talk to them.
C2E2 for 2026 is in March.
Oh yeah, that's a big problem, because the weekend of C2E2 is also the weekend of Windy City Pulp Fest, which is the same weekend as Planet Comic Con, which I know Bill does a lot, which is also the same weekend as WonderCon, which is also the same weekend as the Great Ohio Toy Show in Xenia.
Wow.
Yeah, the whole schedule for next year is a little messed up.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to start looking for next year to, I have 2 or 3 personal things that I need to taken care of. So, but
hey, Adam, I'm going to have to take off.
Yeah, I was going to actually say, can you please? I want to say, Bill, thank you very much for being a guest tonight.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all your wonderful work, and I hope to see you. Like I said, I hope to see you in Rhode Island.
Yeah, it'll be nice to be face to face in Rhode Island. So I look forward to that.
All right. So you have a great night, and Lauren, I want to thank you for being a guest. I also want to thank you for being a friend and one of my mentors for all these many years.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. And like I said, everyone check out eBay/Comic Pop Collectibles. Just do a Google for Bill Morrison, and you can find him on Facebook, Twitter, all the social medias. Get your Elvira Harley Quinn #1 done by Bill Morrison at eBay/Comic Pop Collectibles. Of course, I want to thank the official pizzeria of Awesome Sauce Radio, DeMarco's Pizza, located at 1926 Union Deli Road, New Jersey 07421 973 728 1344, DeMarcosPizza.com. You can follow me at Instagram at The Real Blind Adam. My producer, JB Wills, I am JB Wills everywhere on the internet. Remember, you don't need sight to have a vision. I love you all. Blind Adam out.
See ya.